Walk me through a DCF is probably the most common technical investment banking interview question. But what actually is a DCF? It's simple really. A DCF, or discounted cash flow, is a method for calculating the enterprise value of a company. Fundamentally, it says that the enterprise value of a company is the value of all the cash flows it's going to generate in the future added together. Of course, getting £10 in a year is not the same as getting £10 today. If I could get a 10% annual return on investment, then £10 today would be worth £11 next year, but £10 next year would only be worth about £9.10 today. This 10% is called the discount rate, and we use this concept to calculate the value of future cash flows. But what do we use as the discount rate for a DCF? If I wish to raise some money today and pay it back with a future cash flow, there would be a cost of capital incurred. For example, if I had a 10% cost of capital and an £11 cash flow coming next year, then I could raise £10 today and pay that back plus costs next year when the £11 cash flow comes in. Thus, for a DCF, we use the weighted average cost of capital, or the WACC, as the discount rate. This represents the cost of the company's current capital structure. We need the percentage of the company's capital in equity, the percentage of the company's capital in debt, the cost of equity, and the cost of debt, along with the tax rate. The reason we need the tax rate is that interest is charged before tax, so we'll get a tax benefit from increasing the amount of interest paid. Putting this together, the formula becomes percentage equity times cost of equity plus percentage of tax times cost of tax times 1 minus the tax rate. Now that we have our WACC, we can get started with the DCF. The first step is to explicitly forecast the free cash flows for a set number of years, usually 5 or 10. The free cash flow is the cash a company generates after accounting for cash outflows to support its operations and maintain its capital assets. The basic formula for the free cash flow is EBIT minus tax plus non-cash expenses minus change in working capital minus capital expenditure. To forecast the free cash flows, we forecast each item in the formula and then use the formula. At the end of the explicit forecast, we assume that the company will have reached some sort of mature state. Once in this state, we assume that the company will have small but steady growth in its free cash flows in perpetuity. We use this assumption, along with the Gordon growth model, to calculate a terminal value which represents the value of all cash flows beyond this point. To do this, we take the free cash flow in the final year and divide this by the WACC minus the growth rate. We now have some number of years of free cash flows and a terminal value which we need to discount to the present value. For the free cash flows, we divide them by 1 plus the WACC to the power of the year that they represent. For the terminal value, we note that this is in the final year, so we need to discount it as we did the final free cash flow. Adding up all of the discounted values gives us the enterprise value of the company, which we can convert to the equity value by using the enterprise value equity value bridge.